I'm Carrie with the TIF team. I'm here with Tammy Kreuz from the Region 18 Education Service Center. Tammy, you are wrapping up the final year of your TIF grant. So looking back, what are the top 3 accomplishments related to your TIF 4 project?
Well, I think one of our top accomplishments at this point would be our level of teacher buy-in. We've been really successful with doing some stakeholder engagement with our project starting back when we initially got the grant. And our survey data and our anecdotal evidence from our teachers suggests that there's a really high level of buy-in for our project. And considering the magnitude of the cultural changes that have happened on these campuses, we consider that a huge win. Furthermore, looking at our student achievement data, we have seen some significant advancements in grade level subject areas across our project, which ultimately is our goal is to see improvements in student achievement. And so we're really happy to see those results come to fruition and all the hard work that our teachers and principals have been putting forward over the last few years. I think our other major accomplishment would be the implementation of the student growth measures. That was a significant challenge for us when we initially received the TIF 4 grant to figure out how we were going to measure student growth in every classroom, including in the non-tested areas. And we ended up creating our own process for student learning objectives, or SLOs. We kind of surveyed the landscape across the country, and we kind of looked at what was out there and what was working and what wasn't working. And we recognized that there was a need to create something new in order to have the very best for our teachers and principals in the state of Texas. And so we developed our own model for SLOs, and we've been implementing that. And that has also had some rave reviews from Texas teachers and principals as well. And then we've since developed a data management system to house all of those SLOs. So I think those are probably our 3 greatest accomplishments.
Great. You mentioned cultural changes in some of the schools, and we've also seen plenty of shifts in the policy climate at all levels. So tell me about any shifts in your policy context as it relates to the TIF 4 project.
Well, when we started our TIF 4 project, our State Department was in the early stages of having some conversations about the teacher evaluation system and principal evaluation system, but there really hadn't been any decisions made. And so we ended up starting our project selecting rigorous teacher and principal evaluation rubrics from vendors through an RFP process. And so we've been implementing those systems in our TIF 4 districts for the last couple of years. But a few years into our TIF 4 project, our state adopted a new teacher evaluation system called TTES and a principal evaluation system called TPES. And so there's been a lot going on around our TIF 4 project in the state, with the rest of the state implementing the TTES and TPES evaluation systems. And our state is now moving forward with student growth measures. And so we've continuously had to kind of communicate with our TIF 4 districts how what we're doing in our project aligns with what our state is doing, which it very much does.
So as you're wrapping up your TIF 4 grant, you've had some of these great accomplishments. What are your plans for continuing and sustaining some of the great work that you've done?
So when I kind of look at where our project is right now, and I look at, where we will be when our TIF 4 grant ends at the end of next year, I think all of the components that we have in place will be sustainable, with the exception of the performance pay component. And I think that will be sustained, but in different ways. So some of our districts are going to increase the rigor for teachers to be eligible for performance pay. Some of our districts are going to change and do performance pay solely with looking at bonuses for teacher leader positions and those teachers that are recruited into those positions based on their performance. And we do have one district that has really taken the concept of performance pay and really tried to use the performance measures to drive pay increases. And so they're using that, they're setting aside 1% of their annual pay raise to drive performance-based compensation increases. So kind of a variety of ways, but I do think it is going to change moving forward when TIF ends.
So thinking about your sustainability efforts, is there anything you've learned through that process that would be helpful for other TIF grantees?
I think I would say, not to set your financial standards so high that when the grant funds end, you're not able to sustain it. And a great example of that would be the teacher leader stipends, because those are positions that are critical to the success of a human capital management system. Mm-hmm. And so if you're paying really high, bonuses for those teacher leader positions, and then when the grant ends, you can't sustain that, it's a morale killer. And you've invested all of this time and energy in building capacity in these teacher leaders, and if you can't continue to pay them the same level of stipend, but they're still doing the same kind of work, it's a morale killer. And so you're going to end up having your great people leave. So I would say, to keep in mind what you'll be able to afford when the grant is over, and be reasonable, and utilize the grant money to help you put your systems and processes in place.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tammy.
Okay. Thank you.